coach, a new QB, getting set for a new era. And tonight, their final preseason tune-up. It's against the Calgary Stampeders. And it's all coming up on the CFL on TSN Friday Night Football.
Everybody in Vancouver, Mike Riley is here. The Calgary has arrived. The 2018 CFL passing leader is set to lead the BC Lions into the 2019 season. Here we go, everybody.
No Jerome Carter stats yet for you, but I got some rap lyrics from his latest album. I've been blowing up now. I'm with Mike Riley. All he got to do is throw it up.
Don Jackson, the Don, had a spectacular rookie season last year. 924 yards in only 13 games. Let's see what happens this year if he plays all 18. Go get him, Don.
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
Well, next to Mike Riley, Bo Levi Mitchell, the biggest free agent signing, going back to the Calgary Stampeders, the only team he's known looking to build on his legacy, the Grey Cup MVP in Edmonton last November, and looked very sharp in limited playing time in the preseason game they had last week. Welcome to preseason football, Friday Night Football on TSN. We're glad you're with us. Rod Smith along with Milt Stegall, Davis Sanchez, and please say hello to the coach, Henry Burris. Off that, he's retired now at 1-0. Right? You're very smart.
Feels good. It feels real good. Got to thank my team.
Well, Mike Riley, the addition mentioned, the biggest free agent, certainly the biggest to move teams, and I know there's a lot of expectation, Henry, on what he can do to this BC team that did make the playoffs. Yeah. Henry's team, Mike Riley's team last year did not.
I know, and that was the unfortunate. I mean, he put up a lot of yards in the air last year, and unfortunately, the Edmonton Eskimos didn't make the playoffs. But I think things are going to change here, because one thing that Bo Levi out on this side when things weren't going as well in Calgary was that defense, and it was led by Devon Clay-Brooks. And now Mike Riley has a chance to work with Devon, and I think this is a great start to a beautiful relationship on the West Coast, guys.
We shall see. It's excitement back on the West Coast for sure. It's we're talking about an organization now that there's some buzz back there. We got Hall of Fame players, Hall of Fame coaches, Hall of Fame scouts. So the buzz is back. We'll see if the buzz comes from all these great personalities or if it comes from plays made on the football field that might take some time.
Well, speaking of that buzz, Mike Riley was given a lot of money. Not to only produce on the field, but bring fans back into the stands. And that's important when you're in the CFL. Get those fans in the stands. And Mike Riley is that guy. But he has to go out there and play well. And when you play well early, your team is going to do well. They have the weapons around him. I like John White. I like Carter. I know Carter hadn't done much, and Henry Burris doesn't like him at all. But I'm still tired.
I'm just going to say, though, but you got Brian Burnham. But aren't you at least excited at the possibility of Duran again? I know, but it's Mike Riley chucking the ball down the field.
I am, but he's going to overcome. Last year, he was a decoy for Toronto. Yeah. Now, I know
he wasn't even in the game.
We still talk about him being a talented receiver, but at some point, we got to overcome the talent and see production.
No, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Hey, hold on. Let's give you one more lyric. Get you burnt once, get you burnt twice. That's Burnham. He's even giving shouts out to Brian Burnham.
There you go.
Davis, don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that
pursuing this career and another career as well. The BC Lions, here they come. Get ready for the Stampeders on TSN.
A better back,
Final dress rehearsal for the 2019 season as we welcome you to the West Coast and BC Place Stadium. It's the defending Grey Cup champion Calgary Stampeders against the revamped BC Lions.
Well, let's take a look at the last two CFL MOPs. Back in 2017, it was this man with Edmonton, Mike Riley, now the starting quarterback for the BC Lions after leaving Edmonton in free agency. Bo Levi Mitchell, also a free agent. Take a look at the NFL. His last year's MOP decided to stay in Calgary.
Well, Dave Dickinson says he hasn't seen a Stampeder camp with so many jobs up for grabs. He gets a final evaluation here tonight. While on the other sidelines, a little earlier, Devon Claybrooks received his Calgary Grey Cup ring. More on that later. But now focused on his new team and his first appearance on the home sidelines as the new boss of the BC Lions. Shakir Ryan is back. Had a kick return touchdown against the Edmonton Eskimos in the first preseason game for BC, a game they lost, while Rennie Paredes and the Stampeders prevailed in their preseason opener 37-1 against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So Paredes kicks it off, and it's fielded at the 7 by Shakir Ryan. And he is drilled at the 20-yard line. Big heavy hit by Kevin Prosser on the teams.
And Prosser made some plays in the first game for the Calgary Stampeders against Saskatchewan on the special teams, and in the preseason, this is how you make the squad.
Well, that's a way to get noticed in a hurry, isn't it? So here's Mike Riley, who led the CFL in passing yardage last year, trying to set an early tone at home, and he'll throw that into the dirt in front of the intended target, Shaq Johnson, with some early pressure.
And February, when free agency began, it was really the Mike Riley sweepstakes. Everyone wondering where Riley would sign. He decided to come back home where it all began for him in the Canadian Football League. More on that a little bit later on in the game. But Riley started here in BC, all those years in Edmonton, including the Grey Cup Championship in 15, is now back in the starting quarterback here in BC.
Duron Carter to the near side, the wide out newcomer, and we expect one of the favorite targets for Riley this year. Crossing pattern, ball is dropped, incomplete. Intended for Marquise Bundy in one of the hottest battles for a job here with the BC Lions as another import receiver to go in tandem with Brian Burnham and Duron Carter.
Yeah, we'll take a look at a couple of the young receivers that Mike Riley is looking. This is a spot that Devon Claybrooks told me before the game that is open. There's a 3 receivers, young receivers, new to the CFL, trying to earn a starting spot, not just a roster spot here.
Terry Williams, a Grey Cup hero, is back to receive after a 2-and-out to start. Sergio Castillo picked up during the training camp for BC. Punt is high, not deep, fielded in Lion territory by Williams, and he gets dragged down on the BC, or on the Calgary side of midfield by Josh Woodman. So here's the Canadian Football League MVP from last year, the Grey Cup winner, now 2-2 in the Cup, and you see his stats in the victory over the Ottawa Red Blacks last November.
Grey Cup MVP in that preseason game last week against Saskatchewan. Came out chucking it over the middle, 84 yards passing, 3 of 5, and that was it. That's all we saw of him for 2 series, really. Dave Dickinson pulled him after that.
Expected to get 2 series here, and he'll swing it out early. The pass is caught by Jawan Breskison, who was 3rd in receiving for the Stamps last year and 3rd best Canadian receiver in the CFL.
17, 2-time MOP, Bo Levi Mitchell in 16 and 18, and both have been Grey Cup MVPs, so
no longer the Battle of Alberta, but it'll be the battle of bragging rights again this year between the top 2 quarterbacks in the league. 2nd down, pass over the middle, and a connection, and the initial first down of the game. And the catch is made by Aaron Peck, a tight end style receiver vying for a job in Calgary.
Yeah, you know, when you look at this Calgary roster, I mean, offensively, Bo Levi Mitchell should have the weapons he needs to just keep on keeping on. The question with this Calgary team, and I think it's a question that even Dave Dickinson still needs some answers to, is what happens on defense. They lost a whole bunch of guys on that side of the ball.
3 for 5 last week in his couple series. That ball is dropped. Pass intended for Markeith Amble's expected to be a mainstay this year in the Calgary Stampeder attack.
Sprinkled into the starting lineup last year, Markeith Amble's played 6 games. Starting 6 games, so he got his feet wet a little bit last year, and yeah, he's got to step up with the departure of a couple of big names like DeVaris Daniels.
Chris Matthews now in Winnipeg. Mark and Michelle headed south of the border. And Kamar Jordan still on the injured list, 2nd and 10. And that pass intended for Breskinson is broken up, incomplete, and Breskinson looks for a flag. There's veteran Aaron Grimes, who's made the move to the West Coast after 5 years in Edmonton.
Well, really will bring this secondary in BC together. They still have TJ Lee from last year, but Aaron Grimes comes over from Edmonton. They have Gary Peters from last year. 2 years ago, he made the move from Edmonton as well. So all of a sudden, pretty much a veteran group, 3 of the 5 spots back there. And Aaron Grimes, as you know, can run. He can cover in that one-on-one situations.
Rene Paredes from 46 out was 41 of 45 last year, and he nails this one from beyond 45. Calgary strikes first and leads 3-0. Well, about 90 minutes prior to kickoff, a special ceremony as Dave Dickinson presented Devon Claybrooks with his ring. In fact, 5 members of the now BC Lions were with the Stampeders last year, including Lamar Durant.
Yeah, on the right there, and taking a look at that bling. And that is what it is all about. It's not about the money. It's about the journey with a group of men trying to win it all, getting that Grey Cup ring that no one can ever take away from you.
Malik Harris, another, and Taylor DiTilio and Ryan Phillips, part of the coaching staff last year, now with BC. Here's a big return for Brandon Rutley, and Rutley's out beyond the 50-yard line. Skips out to the Calgary bench at the 52 to set up Mike Riley for his 2nd possession of the game.
Well, straight speed from Brandon Rutley here, and an assignment issue for the Calgary Stampeders on the teams. That's a huge lane that was vacant. Brandon Rutley to hit. Untouched until he got pushed out of bounds at the end of the run.
So 2 and out to start for Mike Riley. Whenever we do a preseason game, we often reference 10 years ago when Mike Riley made the team late in a preseason game. He fakes to John White and gets it into the hands of Javon Catoy, the former Langley Ram, and we were told to watch Catoy tonight. He has made an instant impression here. Big kid, 6'5", 230.
Yeah, big kid, big target, and has a nose for the end zone. I mean, he playing juniors in Langley. He had 4 playoff games, 8 touchdowns on the board in 4 games, and has had a very good camp out in Kamloops.
Had to adjust to a heavier thrown football from a new quarterback. Yeah. Strong-handed kid who's made the adjustment in the last few weeks. Now the handoff inside. That's John White with a nice burst straight ahead into the teeth of that Calgary defense. That
a lot of starters back home, and they've been gutted, but even the guys that are in for the replacement, still some veterans in the group, like Brandon Smith doesn't play tonight. Trey Roberson, he's not playing tonight for Calgary. Dave Dickinson deciding not to bring a lot of his potential starters anyway at the end of camp here, but boy, did they lose a lot of veterans. Sorry, Micah Johnson and Alex Singleton.
12 for John White, who hopes to be able to stay healthy, and he'll swing it out to Ron Carter's first touch as a Lion, and he'll step out after a first down, but there's 89 expected to have a huge bounce back year with the BC Lions.
Well, he was marginalized in a big way in Toronto last year. You saw the numbers and what he's capable of in Saskatchewan, and I think working with Mike Riley, I am optimistic that Ron Carter is going to have an outstanding season if he stays healthy, and with his athleticism and Mike Riley as his runner, I think he's going to have a big year.
If he stays on offense.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point.
First and 10, play action fake, that ball tipped and nearly picked off. But Chris Casher, who got a hand on the football.
But take a look at the Calgary changes as we talked about a little bit earlier, and starting with Devon Claybrooks right here, their defensive coordinator. Brent Monson is now the new coordinator. Of course, worked with Calgary last year and with Claybrooks, but Alex Singleton, Micah Johnson, I mean, it's an all-star team. Jameer Thurman, maybe one of the most underrated linebackers. There's the new defensive coordinator in Calgary.
Hamilton native, who's been with the Stamps for quite some time. Second and 10. Riley, wide side, open man, it's brought down and dropped at the 1-yard line. Ball is fumbled. Catch was made by Marquise Bundy, but he has turned it over down inside the 5-yard line.
Part of the evaluation of a player is how he responds to adversity.
The ruling on the field is a completed pass and a fumble recovered by Calgary. First down, Calgary.
But is he down by contact? Yeah. Elbow down as the ball comes loose. They're ruling fumble, but likely a challenge when we come back. because it was a turnover, it goes to an automatic review, and the rule on the field has changed.
Yeah, it worked out for the BC Lions in the break and the chance to take another look at it. Any turnover or every turnover is reviewed.
After automatic review of the turnover, the ruling on the field is overturned. The player was down by contact. It will be first down, BC, from the 1 yard line.
We showed you a good look of it, and it looked like the arm and elbow hit, and that's what pushed the ball out. So that's down by contact before the fumble. BC will get the ball on the 1 yard line.
So first and goal from the 1 with John White, the single back, in behind Riley. Gets the hand off and not much there. Crashing through was Mike Rose to make the stop. Defensive tackle, just 1 game last year for the Stampeders.
Yeah, and having said what we've said about the changes on defense for Calgary, they held Saskatchewan in the first preseason game to 1 point. I mean, and had a goal line stand just like this one. So the young guys are doing their best to fill the shoes of some of those big name veterans.
Loss of a yard. So second and goal from the 2. Burnham and Carter in motion. Back inside, White crashes to the goal line. And it looks like a touchdown. We'll wait for the signal. Lions celebrating. The officials conferring, and now rule touchdown, John White.
The ruling on the field is touchdown.
Well, it takes discipline in the play calling to go back to the run after you've been stoned on the 1 yard line by the Calgary defense, but that's exactly what the BC Lions do. Right back to John White. This time he just lowers his pad level and drives to the goal line. No dancing there. It's get the pad level low and cross the plane.
No 2 yard touchdown plunge for John White, the 4th. And it caps a 7-play, 58-yard touchdown drive. Castillo to add the extra point out of the hold of Austin Apodaca. Lions with a 7-3 lead. We're midway through the opening quarter here in BC.
Let's go back and take a look at that play by Marquise Bundy, a young guy, number 24 years old, out of New Mexico, trying to earn a starting spot here. He dropped a pass in his direction early and then comes back and was looking at 2 minuses in 2 plays for Bundy, trying to make the team. It gets overturned. That becomes a plus in the 19-yard catch, setting up the touchdown, and he's back and in the competition. Boy, if he got 2 minuses, he might as well pack his stuff and head home.
Here's Terry Williams on the return. He'll get dragged down at the 30-yard line. And while we get the opportunity, I want to send out a best wishes and salute to our teammate Matt Dunnigan, who this weekend is enshrined in the Louisiana State Sports Hall of Fame, along with Shaquille O'Neal, Pete Maravich, Peyton Manning, and Matt Dunnigan. He's in pretty good company, and it's all well-deserved.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Matty. And we've got to talk about how you lost to Henry Burris in the Prospects game. We've got to talk about that one.
Not a bad consolation prize this weekend.
No, outstanding.
And the Grey Cup made its way down to Louisiana for the event. Don Jackson in the lineup this week for Calgary, expected to start 4th in the league last year in rushing and almost 1,000 yards in 13 starts. Four for Jackson, 2nd and 6. And over the middle, Breskison's got it. And he spins for a first down off the initial contact from Aaron Grimes.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Levi Mitchell still has Breskison, still has Bagleton, still has Eric Rogers, should get Kamar Jordan. I would love to have him sooner rather than later, but maybe worst case scenario, looking at Labor Day. You know, so there are some weapons for Bo Levi Mitchell to get the ball to.
Breakout year last season for Juwan Breskison. First down, and it's Jackson. And across midfield for Don Jackson, back into BC Lions territory at 3 100-yard games last year.
I talked to Dave Dickinson before the Saskatchewan game and asked him about areas on the field where he's real comfortable and confident, and he said running back right away. I mean, he's got Don Jackson, as you mentioned, Terry Williams. Remember the big play at the Grey Cup in the return game by Terry Williams that he can sub in, and they like their young guys too.
We'll see Ladarius Galloway and Kadeem Carey before the night's done, vying for a spot as Mitchell airs it up. He's got Preston in stride. Touchdown. Is a flag down, but Juwan Breskison got in behind coverage, and Bo Levi Mitchell was on target for a 53-yard strike.
Offside, BC number 94. That penalty's declined. Touchdown.
And
Lyle Lewis offside.
My guess is that's the last throw in this game for Bo Levi Mitchell, and much like game 1 in the preseason, he gets in for a couple of series, make sure the timing is there, make sure the touch is there, the accuracy is there, all of which on display for Dave Dickinson as head coach, and I'm sure we'll see Nick Arbuckle coming up. Or possibly Montel Cozart. We saw both of them last week against Saskatchewan.
Keon Lynn allowed Breskison to get in behind coverage that time. Perez missed the convert. 36 of 39 last year. And this one's coming up. Shakir Ryan will get angled out by Rob Maber, the holder down there, to make sure he doesn't bring it back. Bo's 4 for 6, 84 yards, and a touchdown here in the opening quarter as the Stampeders regain the lead. Bo Levi Mitchell looking like Bo Levi Mitchell, and with more on the quarterback and some changes around him. Here's Farhan Lalji.
Guys, I talked to Bo about the number of changes, as you mentioned, and you could say as many as the 4 top receiving targets for Bo from last year's team are no longer with the team. Yeah, there are some experienced guys, but he has really been impressed by the young receiving core that's come into this group. And he said, look, I don't like to take a lot of reps in training camp. I get my work with the starters done, and then I don't stick around extra and take a bunch of extra throws. But he's taken it upon himself to find other ways to make sure these youngsters get it figured out. He's next to them during their practice reps. He'll be right with them on the sideline during these preseason games. He'll do everything he can to make sure they understand their assignments, where they need to be against certain coverages. He figures the veteran guys, they can figure it out on their own once he gets the reps with them. But the young guys, he's never seen this much talent in a receiving core coming in. One guy that's really impressed him is Griff Whalen, the player from Stanford, who spent a lot of time with Andrew Luck. Says it reminds him of Marquay McDaniel. He just knows how to get there and make the play, but he's optimistic about the position going forward.
And last week, you saw Whalen, you saw Josh Huff, who a lot of people talked about.
Yeah,
Daniel Braverman was another. We'll see all of them in this game. Which one will stand out in the final evaluations? Roughly on the return.
Let's go back to that touchdown, and I'll show you a mistake made by Keon Lynn, the defensive back. Here's the trips receiver. 3 receivers to the wide side of the field. That's called a trips. Now it's layered routes across the middle, and watch the mistake make as the young DB from Syracuse looking back in the backfield while his receiver is getting in behind him. Find your man, and then the ball will follow. You'll get to it in time to stop that play. Breskinson gets in behind him.
Yes, sir.
Mike Riley, 3 for 6, 45 yards here in the opening quarter, and he'll go back to the air. He was looking deep, but in trouble, and he gets dropped. Taken down by Essa Marabare, one of the Canadian defensive tackles, and they may use 2 on the starting lineup for Calgary this year.
Well, a first-round pick by the BC Lions a couple years ago. The second round was a guy that's competing for a job at tackle, and Brett Boyko. Or excuse me, the second pick for BC that same year. So now Calgary Stampeder trying to...
We have roughing the passer, Calgary, number 98. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Did he get the face mask on that? Dave Dickinson wants to take a look at this. He doesn't...
Dave's not sure. I don't think we saw it either. Let's take another look at what the officials saw. And it's the helmet to helmet.
Hit to the side of the head. I think Dave would be arguing that Mike Riley was trying to run, escape, and ducking at the time. But they err on protecting the quarterback.
No, it's 1st and 10. Wide side. Brian Burnham's got his first catch. And taken down quickly at the 51-yard line. Tackle on the play by Deshaun Amos, who had a couple of games last year.
Yeah, just think about, Chris, what that combination could look like. I mean, if Deron Carter keeps it on the rails, and by all accounts, he's had a tremendous training camp, and he plays into the short side of the field with Brian Burnham beside him. You roll the coverage into that side of the field to try and take care of those 2. You're going to leave a lot of field for the wide side receivers to get open. It's going to be tough to defend them.
Both have been all CFL receivers. Second down, gunned over the middle, and Burnham comes down with it. There's a clutch catch by a guy that usually makes a lot of them during a season.
He stuck with it. This is the concentration, and one of the toughest receivers, just mentally and physically toughest receivers in the league is Brian Burnham. And sometimes mental toughness isn't about taking a big hit and getting up from it. It's about keeping and maintaining concentration on a play like this. Tremendous focus.
Lorenzo Jerome in coverage. The Sam linebacker tonight, Jamar Wall, the incumbent, not in action this evening. They'll swing it out to White. He's got some blocking. And John White has another BC Lion first down.
design screen to the short side of the field to get a little open area, and look who's blocking on the outside. That's Deron Carter picking up his man, giving John White a little crease.
13 for White. Into the red zone, the Lions. First down, Calgary 17-yard line. Take to White. Over the middle it goes, and Burnham in traffic has another catch. 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons for Brian Burnham.
Asked Devon Claybrooks about how long he's going to play Mike Riley in this game. He said, you know, it'll go about a quarter and a half, maybe the first half in its entirety. But if we see that the timing's there, we see that he's got a nice rhythm to it, just like Dave Dickinson, it might be shorter. And with this drive and the throws to Burnham and getting his starting receiving core going, maybe it for Riley.
Looks like he'll be okay.
Yeah. I think both he and Bo are doing all right.
I think they're fine.
They're just fine.
Over 5,500 yards passing in each of the last 3 seasons. 5 straight completions in this quarter, and make it 6 as Shaq Johnson's got the catch. And they'll mark him out at the 2-yard line.
Well, now the bar has been set for Shaq Johnson. Shaq Johnson last year, over 300 yards receiving. In the back half of the season, he just showed some athleticism and speed that you start to think that he could be a 1,000-yard guy. Canadian receiver, Shaq Johnson. The expectations are much higher this year than they were last.
They got another guy too, Lamar Durant, the former Stampeder, who has come home not in the lineup in this game because of a tight hamstring. John White again looking for his second touchdown. Bounced off contact, and did he fumble the football? Looks like he got it back at the 1-yard line.
Well, do they go back to John White like they did the last time on the goal line? When John White has tried to bounce it, he got in trouble and the Calgary defense rallied. He did it last time on the goal line and first down, and this time that ball came out and he got it back.
Lorenzo Jerome saves a touchdown. And it's Riley trying to keep, and second effort breaks the plane and a touchdown. 13 touchdowns for Mike Riley on the ground last year.
There was a flag on the play. This often means that Calgary's defense is offside. Usually it's on the defense. They're trying to guess the snap count.
Marco Myers tried to contain Riley.
There is no flag on the play. Touchdown.
So some second effort from Mike Riley to break the plane and put BC back in front. Number 10 in rushing last year. And only James Franklin had more touchdown rushes than Mike Riley.
Well, the fan base is pretty excited here in Vancouver, and there's more buzz in this city about this upcoming football season than I've seen in probably 5-6 years.
We've seen back-to-back converts miss. Castillo off target here. So through 15 minutes of preseason football, the BC Lions have a 13-9 lead. as preseason quarters go, that was pretty good with Bo Levi Mitchell and Mike Riley trading some shots in the opening 15 minutes.
Yeah, we saw some points on the board. Both quarterbacks look sharp. Before the game, though, some heavy hearts still because of what happened recently with equipment manager Cato passing, and the BC Lions organization, top to bottom, basically lost a family member in Cato.
They did. Ken Kasuya was a ball boy at the age of 13, was involved with his team for over 40 years, passed away in the off season, and it leaves a huge hole in the BC Lions organization. And you've seen these buttons in tribute being worn right across the league. You saw them involving Ottawa and Hamilton last week. Danny Webb, longtime equipment manager of the Argos, wearing it last night. And Dave Dickinson mentioned even in his interview yesterday that a couple of the priorities were to pay tribute to Ken Kasuya when he got here to the West Coast for this game, and also to hand the ring off to Devon Claybrooks.
Well, Cato with the organization for 40 years, started riding his bike to practice, was the ball boy, and became the equipment manager, and so much more than just getting the equipment prepared. Everyone who had been a BC Lion in the past or is currently a BC Lion just know what a great person Cato was, and he will be missed dearly. Did so much in the community as well.
Nick Arbuckle comes in at quarterback, and Kadeem Carey is in the game, the former Chicago Bear, who was impressive early in training camp for the Stampeders and then had a hamstring issue that kept him out of the first preseason game. But here's Arbuckle, and as you can see, he looked good against Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I think going into the game, he probably felt a little pressure from guys like Montel Cozart, who's behind him or maybe even beside him on the depth chart. Now, he does have the edge because he's got experience with the Calgary Stampeders and their system. But you saw the numbers. He went 8 of 12, 131 yards.
And we'll see his arm strength here. He's got an open receiver, and it is caught. Big catch on the play for Michael Klukas, the former Calgary Dinosaur.
Well, Klukas shows you some speed here. I mean, straight go route down the seam. And that's just Arbuckle put it on his outside shoulder. That's quite an adjustment to the football, too, to have the vision and the ability to focus, to track the ball to his off shoulder, rotate going full speed down the field and come up with that catch. Nice.
Got a step behind the former UBC Thunderbird, Dom Termanson. So it's a 45-yard connection for Arbuckle, right back to the air. And to the sidelines it goes. There's another catch for the big target, Aaron Peck.
Michael Klukas has got a chance here to get some serious playing time. They've got Julon Lynch in this competition with Klukas as well. Sindani also Canadian receiver that is looking for playing time in the rotation. Go a long way with that speed and that adjustment, the catch he made down the field. He can't feel his feet right now. He's so excited out there.
2nd and 5. Pressure on Arbuckle, end zone toss, and Peck's got it. Touchdown, Aaron Peck. And Nick Arbuckle moves it right down the field and puts Calgary back in the lead.
Well, this is on the quarterback. The first one is a nice adjustment to get them in this position to Klukas, and now Peck. Watch how Arbuckle has to fade away from the pressure up the middle. Throw it off balance and lay it out in front of Peck to go get it.
70-yard touchdown drive. Arbuckle doesn't waste any time. And you're right, he was able to elude Davon Coleman's pressure to find Peck in the end zone. Well. Beretta splits the uprights this time. Convert good. And Calgary back in front. Seesaw affair. The offenses look pretty good here in the opening half.
show you a subtle look off from Nick Arbuckle, just in his third year with the Calgary Stampeders, but this is a veteran move. He's going to look off with a defensive lineman in his face. He looks in this direction and yet hits his receiver on an in route to hold any DB that might be trying to jump the route. He flips his shoulders around while fading away and off balance over the middle to Peck. I mean, that is a veteran move from Nick Arbuckle, who I think we know who the backup quarterback to Bo Levi Mitchell is going to be, with all due respect to Montel Kozak.
Shakir Ryan on the return slips, and hope he's okay. Saw a similar occurrence in Ottawa in the first preseason game, and an Achilles injury, and Ryan slow to get up. And this might be a hamstring for him.
Well, it's good news that he's walking off. If you're going to pick the two, the hamstring you can recover. Yeah, he grabs the left hamstring. Yep. You don't want that Achilles. Achilles is the ear.
Designated replacement for Chris Rainey, who's moved on to the Toronto Argonauts. So Austin Apodaca in for Mike Riley. Has seen some time with Montreal and Winnipeg and throws a strike to Brian Burnham.
4 games in Montreal last year for Austin Apodaca, and a chance to try and win that number 2 job behind Mike Riley here in this preseason game. Private workout with the Buffalo Bills
And New England Patriots.
Yep.
So 1 camp with Winnipeg, the 4 games with Montreal last year. Out of New Mexico, hands it off, and a burst by Rutley straight ahead.
There you go, baby.
For a BC Lion first down. Tackle made by Fraser Sopik. So 2 veterans at running back, White and Rutley.
Getting aggressive here, huh?
And pretty good tune-up for Mike Riley before next week's season opener. First and 10, and Apodaca's got some time to unload. Wants to run, Carter in. Overshoots the target by Strider 2. Jamari Gilbert on the corner, pretty good coverage. Trey Roberson, the incumbent there, was left back in Calgary.
I showed you some arm strength, just was off in the accuracy department. And ball a little bit outside as well to Duron Carter.
Lobbying a little bit, perhaps, for
got the young guy in. As soon as the young guy came in, he was in the huddle. Duron Carter going, hey, you can hit me deep if you want to take a shot.
Second and 10. There's Catoy's got the catch, got the first down. There's that junior prospect.
You know, for Apodaca, who's trying to earn that number 2 spot behind Mike Riley, this is a more important throw in the evaluation process. It's the right read. It's the hole in the zone. The timing is there. He gets rid of it at first down territory. That's the type of thing that Devon Claybrooks wants to see in consistency in those second down conversions.
12th first down generated by the BC Lions so far tonight. Flag comes down. Rutley gets dragged down just across midfield by former BC Lion Ivan McLennan. Penalty against the Lions. Looked like they were offside.
Offside. There is no flag on the play. It will be second down.
Well, the eye in the sky changed the call. That
something they discussed at Rules Committee is that the command center can in real time help in some of those offside calls, some of the calls that are super close to tell in real-time live action, and they could just make the correction in real time without holding the game up at all and get the call right.
And based on some of the events in the other sport I cover, a little extra help is necessary at times.
Hey, what is going on with the
We better not go there.
with the officiating in the NHL?
BC.
What is happening there? I look at it though and I think, okay, now I've got ammunition for any time during the regular season someone says, you know, in the CFL the refs are, and the way they go, I was like, wait a minute.
Stanley Cup
Stanley
playoffs,
Cup. Super Bowl, like, hold on. Yeah. It's a challenge, and the refs do a very good job, and I wish I could be at 97%, which is usually what they grade out at, or better. Boy, he's going to be outstanding to work with, and I think the entire city and province here in BC have already really enjoyed Devon Claybrooks. Now, he's got to win games. That's the bottom line, and it starts for real in a week, but very, very quotable head coach here in BC.
Second and 6. That one gunned and picked off, and it's being brought back the other way. Down the sidelines, and Myers is going to score. Pick 6. Marco Myers out of Southeastern.
Yeah, out of Southeastern. He comes out of this break, and the timing off a little bit. Now, I was wondering if he stepped out of bounds on the return, but he does a great job of just sort of gearing down in this attempt by Apodaca to catch him and then bounce a little bit outside. No, he stayed in. He walked the tightrope right down that sideline.
In the spot normally occupied by the 12-year veteran Brandon Smith, but Marco Myers makes some noise.
But the other side halfback is open. And that's the spot that they've tried to, it's been quite the competition.
65-yard return. They had an interception return for a touchdown last week against Saskatchewan. Myers brings one back this week. And the Stampeders extend the lead. Well, get ready. Canadian football returns to the Gridiron. CFL kickoff weekend action gets underway next weekend. Thursday night football presented by the Brick. Rough Riders battle the Ticats. There's the first week slate of games. The Stampeders and Red Blacks Saturday in a Grey Cup rematch, and also the Bombers and Lions. What a Saturday to kick off the season. And of course it all begins Thursday in Hamilton with the Rough Riders and Ticats. It's going to be a wild year.
Yeah, it's wide open. It really is. And it's with all due respect to the defending champions.
On the return.
Austin Apodaca gets into trouble with his timing. Now he's got to let that one go, because watch Brian Burnham on this out route here. Burnham needs the ball in the air right now. So that ball's got to be coming out of the hand of the quarterback, so he should be catching it right about here. Watch Burnham on the break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps before the ball arrives. That timing is off, and Marco Myers says thank you very much and goodbye.
Stampeders short, a man or two here. A little fire drill as the Lions come up to the line. And a handoff inside for Rutley. Short gain, and looks like a Calgary player has been nicked on the play. And an injury to Darnell Thompson, vying for a defensive tackle spot.
There's a big hole there at defensive tackle. Micah Johnson.
Very big.
Yeah, now a Saskatchewan Rough Rider.
Micah Johnson, Jagera Davis, James Fodder's all gone. 26 sacks among those three. And of course, Micah Johnson had 14 of them. And the question is, will somebody like Darnell Thompson be able to fit the bill, or do they go with a couple of Canadians and the veterans Derek Wigan and Junior Turner on that defensive line?
And Robert Ray can work in there as well.
Robert Ray as well?
Yep.
Yeah, that was good. Did you see what they did there? They sent forward to pick on the inside.
So 3 for Rutley, 2nd and 7.
Yeah, you got your inside point. Ah, shit.
Oh, the near side, that one is wide of the target. Burnham.
That's an example of a young quarterback that just got picked for a touchdown, trying to throw the out and fight the demon of self-doubt in his mind, because he goes to throw this out to Deron Carter and just bails out of the throw because he felt that Calgary defender getting a little too close.
There's Ladarius Galloway back, vying for a spot at running back, and if he can also return kicks, that will enhance his stock. Time long gone to the NFL. Castillo trying to fill the void, and here is Galloway. A little stutter step, and he'll get contained at the 42-yard line. Brought down on a special teams tackle by David Mackey.
Motor
Late November, Commonwealth Stadium, and after a pair of Grey Cup losses, the Stampeders break through, and that may have been the biggest play of the game. Terry Williams, a punt return touchdown that sent Calgary on its way, and Bo Levi Mitchell evened his record at 2-2. First Grey Cup for Dave Dickinson as the head coach. Lost his helmet, dragged down around the 45-yard line.
The three guys you saw in that replay sequence of the Grey Cup against Ottawa are all returning for the Calgary Stampeders, and that's why Dave Dickinson loves his backfield. Getting a chance to look at some of the young guys. But Bo Levi Mitchell elected to stay in Calgary, signed a new contract with the Stampeders. You saw Terry Williams with the 97-yard return in the Cup. He's back, and Don Jackson should be their starting tailback.
2nd and 9 for Arbuckle with a flag down into the hands of the speedster, Josh Hopfu. Got some attention for his work last week in the win against Saskatchewan. Let's check the flag.
Third-round draft pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. You could tell that just playing with that confidence that a guy that has been under the lights, either here or south of the border, will have.
Played at Oregon and with the Eagles under the same head coach, Chip Kelly. And the review quickly was he looked fast from Dave Dickinson last week.
Offside, Calgary. That penalty's declined. 3rd down.
So they take the gain, which is 3 to 4 yards short of the 1st down, and the punt team has to come on.
I'll also say that Calgary's offense, they're real excited about their tailbacks, running back situation. They like their new receivers to add to a veteran group that still has the playmaking ability despite some of the losses. But they may have become a stronger offense with Nick Arbuckle playing the way he's playing, and just having that insurance policy in the just-in-case scenario.
Well, the just-in-case scenario is still in question for the BC Lions. Here, Brandon Rudley made the first man miss and then gets swarmed around the 20 with more on the growing intrigue of the backup job in BC here against Farhan.
Guys, we've been watching Austin Apodaca. Later on, we'll see Grant Kramer, but it may all be for naught because it looks like the Lions will be bringing in former Eskimo backup quarterback Danny O'Brien. He's here on the sidelines right now, getting familiar with the play calls, wearing Lions colors. He's even got an earpiece in so he can hear those play calls. And while none of the other quarterbacks have necessarily blown the doors off Devon Claybrooks and the offensive coaching staff, really a lot of this will come down to familiarity that Mike Riley has with O'Brien. He really likes working with him, loves having him in the quarterback room.
On the play.
They understand how the other one likes to break down film, prepare for games, and that comfort matters a lot to the coaching staff. Ricky Lloyd, who backed up last year, will likely open the season on the injured list. He's been dealing with concussion protocol right now, and the Lions also might try something a little unique. They may only dress 2 quarterbacks for most games because the third rarely ever gets in, and in the new collective bargaining agreement for 2020 and beyond, teams will only be allowed to dress 2 quarterbacks, so the Lions might try to stay ahead of the curve with Riley, O'Brien backing him up and dressing just 2.
Not sure if we'll see that with any other team, but the Lions have been fairly open about that consideration. A couple of holding penalties against BC on the return brought the ball back.
Well, that situation reminds me of the old days in a lot of ways, because back many years ago, you could only dress 2 quarterbacks, and in that scenario, the Lions will have to have an emergency quarterback just in case they go through 2 in a game or 2 get nicked. And Riley and O'Brien, if those are Riley obviously, but if O'Brien's the backup, that emergency quarterback in Saskatchewan back in those days
was number 27.
I was terrified. When the starter ever got nicked, I was going, oh no.
Apodaca to the wide side of the field. It gets there. And the catch is made by Josh Stanford, the former Saskatchewan Rough Rider.
I had 2 plays. I had a handoff and a curl to Ray Elgard. That was it. That was all that was allowed. But the Lions will have to do that if they decide to dress 2.
Common south of the border, 2 quarterbacks.
Yep.
First down up at the 20-yard line. Low snap, gets it away quickly. And it's into the hands of Laverne Jacobs. Excuse me, it's 85 Jamal Jones out of Montana.
First of all, I like the poise of Austin Apodaca, who he gets a low snap, but he maintains his poise even with the defender in his face, and then dumps the ball. Not a real tough throw to make, but he gets it out there, and Jones does the rest.
Left as the all-time leading receiver in Montana, Jamal Jones. Saw Joey Augustine with a catch on this drive. Two of the leading candidates for permanent work here. Rutley takes the swing pass and skips out of bounds up at the 39-yard line. Let's check back in with Farhan.
Guys, you talked about a couple of low snaps, and that's because the Lions are breaking in a new center, Hunter Stewart, who's been a very good starting guard for them over the years. Now, with the retirement of Cody Husband, Andrew Pearson has been tabbed to come in. Peter Godber, who they drafted last year, will likely open the season on the 6-game injured list. And Pearson, while he's certainly worked hard, is undersized, and he's only had 5 games. And as Brian Chu once told me, I got to protect the $300 million man in Mike Riley, so I need to find the best way to do that, and getting a big body with experience like Hunter Stewart may fit the bill. Part of the reason is Brett Boyko is now here. He and Figueroa have been, or sorry, not Figueroa, but David Foucault have been battling at the right tackle spot. They could take Foucault, put him back at guard, and then move Stewart from the guard position into center. And I think the coaching staff is really leaning towards doing that for the start of the season.
Talked to Devon Claybrooks about his O-line, and the first guy he brought up was Brett Boyko. Boyko, second-round pick back in 2015, tried out in the NFL, a couple different teams. It's always that risk and reward in the draft for teams if they decide to go with that highly ranked player that they may lose to the NFL for a year or two before they see him.
Galloway dragged down. A quick cover by Carson Ketter, who's vying for a safety job. Stampeders with the lead late here in the second quarter.
Three minutes halftime coming up. The guys have some thoughts on the quarterbacks. Mike Riley for BC. Also Bo Levi Mitchell. And that Calgary defense seems just fine, thank you very much. And the very competitive looking West, as Chris and Glenn were talking about. Back to BC Place.
A lot of changes in Calgary, but it looks like not a whole lot's going to change. They just keep on keeping on. And as you mentioned, Nick Arbuckle doing a nice job in relief here, 4 for 4, 74 yards and a touchdown to create even more reliable security blanket for Bo Levi Mitchell. But with that said, that one is going to be ruled incomplete, out of bounds. Franklin with the catch, but Marlo Sean Franklin, I don't think, got a foot down. They're going to confer on this.
If Franklin dove for the ball And he's got to, when he hits the ground here, he's got to have possession and maintain it.
Drag that leg, and if you get a challenge here.
Did he get the hands underneath it?
The official's waving as if he didn't secure it. Looked like it there, and we will get a challenge.
Devon Claybrooks going to challenge.
From Devon Claybrooks.
I mean,
Cal Berkeley.
Take a look at the foot, and the foot's in. He's dragging the foot in, so that's in. The question is, did he use the turf to help him and assist him in the interception? And boy, the way he's got that ball wrapped up, it almost looks like he got his hands underneath it.
BC is challenging the ruling of an incomplete pass. They believe the receiver caught the ball. We'll review the play.
Well, that's that replay.
Yeah.
Is that ball loose and getting trapped here?
Because if that tip of the ball is hitting that white stripe, then the ground assisted in the catch, which would be incomplete, no interception.
Jordan Tatowski was right there, the line judge, and he ruled incomplete.
But Devon Claybrooks, new head coach, gets a chance to.
They think they've won the challenge.
It's a rehearsal preseason for the players and for the coaches.
Lions offense coming on the field, but we have not got notification yet. BC more certain than we are that this is a turnover.
Well, Dickinson has his defense kind of huddled up right at the sideline, so determination is all about whether or not the ground assisted the catch, and boy, it was very, very close.
Well, you say he's had a good camp. Let's see if
After
he's got an
review,
interception.
the ruling on the field is overturned. The BC player caught the ball. Interception. First down, BC.
Well, they celebrate on one sideline while the Stampeders challenge the ruling on the other sideline.
Well, if he has possession and the ball is secured, the ball can touch the turf. It's just whether or not the ball was, the catch was assisted by the turf.
So the offense comes out, Apodaca on a roll and delivers the ball. It is it caught? Looks like it was. Joey Augustine able to hold on with Calgary defenders all trying to wave it off.
Well, we'll see Dave Dickinson's challenge flag here. Let's take another look. Well, that bounced.
And will we get a challenge from the Stampeders sideline?
Yep.
The ruling is an incomplete pass. Second down.
Now, the new rule change when it comes to coach's challenge this year is that after a challenge, if the coach is successful, and it looks like
The timer, please put the game clock to 2:27. 2:27.
Looks like the eye in the sky just ruled that off, and no need for a challenge from Dave Dickinson.
he did pick up the flag, put it right back in his pocket. So, but if he did use it and won it, he gets a second. And he didn't last year.
So second and 10. Apodaca steps up, swings it off to Rutley. He's got a first down, and he gets pushed out at the Calgary 13-yard line. 17-yard pickup, Apodaca to Rutley.
You know, what's most impressive about Apodaca in this drive is that he has overcome the adversity early on when he threw the pick six. Now he's negotiating the pocket, steps up nicely and finds Rutley.
Moran mentioned Hunter Stewart now at center. David Foucault is in his spot at left guard. Apodaca 7 for 12, 70 yards here in the second quarter. Nice play fake. Gets it in the hands of Jamal Jones, who slips. Over 3,000 receiving yards at Montana.
Go back to that O-line discussion, and this is an interesting one when you look at Brett Boyko, and it's always the risk and the reward. Brett Boyko was one of the top-rated college players in the 2015 draft, and the BC Lions decided to take him. At that time, Wally Buono was the general manager of the team, not the coach and general manager, just GM. Jeff Tedford was the coach. Neither are here any longer, and this is Brett Boyko's first year as a BC Lion. It's also a risk when you take that high-rated player and it might go to the NFL.
Apodaca on the run, throws that away under pressure, incomplete. Boyko 3 years in the NFL with the Eagles and Chargers.
A lot of guys, the philosophy is, a lot of coaches, the philosophy is take the best players. I mean, you know, wherever you pick, take the best player, and then if you wait for him or if he has an NFL career, you live with it, you go to the next round. But you know, Dave Dickinson, for instance, his first pick this year is on the field tonight in Hergy Mayala out of Connecticut. So different philosophy.
Third down, Castillo surveys the 14-yarder, puts it through, and it's a 7-point lead.
So this wasn't Devon Claybrook's decision when it comes to Brett Boyko, so he's got to make the decisions moving forward, and his resume is impressive, not just with what you see here in the talented coaches that he's worked with, the organization Calgary, and what he did defensively with that team throughout those Grey Cup appearances and the Grey Cup win last year, but he has also worked with some of the top names in football in the United States and Canada. And he'll pull a little bit of the experience from all of those opportunities. And as I mentioned, I think he's a favorite around here in Vancouver. Yep. Just going on the radio, talking about his philosophy, and I'm going to write down all his quotes, and by about Labor Day, I'll have a nice little list.
Of course, I think they all like Mom too. Sally has become well known watching tonight back home, but apparently she's on her way and will be here for the next month. Of course, Devon also a former CFL player with the Alouettes and Stampeders. Final couple of minutes here in the opening half. And Calgary to scrimmage from their 35 after the field goal. And Kadeem Carey off the left side. And Kadeem Carey's got a good run. As mentioned, Dave Dickinson liked what he saw early in camp, but a hamstring kept him out of last week's game, but they wanted to get a good look at Carey here tonight.
Galloway led all rushers in the Saskatchewan preseason game.
There's Lucas with another catch. Victor Gamboa in coverage comes up with the football, but Klukas with his second reception takes it into BC Lion territory. Lucas worked out with Bo Levi Mitchell during the offseason in Calgary, former Dino. And early procedure here. Nila Kazatati out of his stance before the snap of the football. And right tackle. That Calgary offensive line racked with an early injury to Brad Erdos, which will keep him out the entire year and has caused some changes in the look.
Calgary, number 62. 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
So they walk it back. And spotted at the Calgary 54-yard line. Ryan Sevier in center now. Time for Arbuckle, and he looks for Klukas deep again. And this ball's incomplete. And lots of contact, and a flag does come down. I'm not sure Yamboa realized it as he takes a look up at the scoreboard.
Klukas is working on that left
Pass
arm.
interference, BC number 27. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
But him coming back to the football and not giving up on it. It was a little bit underthrown, so he fights back towards it, and that's what created the contact and drew the penalty flag. So those are 2 pluses for a young receiver on the University of Calgary and Michael Klukas.
Ball out of Eastern Washington. There's a lot of Eastern Washington players in this game on either side. The most notable, Bo Levi Mitchell. And as Arbuckle dancing around, and Arbuckle gets brought down at the 7-yard line. Darius Allen trying to nail down the bookend spot on the other side of the defensive line from Odell Willis.
And that's an open competition, according to Devon Claybrooks, with Matt Boson maybe with the edge, number 71. I don't think he's in the lineup right now, but the other is Darius Allen.
And veteran Rich Stubler, the defensive coordinator this year for the Lions. Arbuckle quickly out of his hands, end zone touchdown. And the Stampeders with their #1 pick, #1, Hershey Mayala.
Well, and that's just a different philosophy for John Hufnagel this year than going back to Jeff Tedford's pick back in 2015 to wait on a player. This was Mayala getting in the roster. Impressive, too, impressing Dave Dickinson all through training camp with his speed, his toughness, a nice touchdown catch to put some stats on the board.
Second touchdown pass of the first half for Arbuckle. 3 in total for the Stampeders. 37 against Saskatchewan, and they put 30 on the board in the opening half against the Lions.
A couple of young receivers, Canadian receivers, impressing for Calgary in this first half. A bit of an out route there, gets outside leverage. And the timing, remember the timing on the interception for a touchdown being off by a few steps. Mayala came out of his break and the ball arrived.
Been an impressive preseason for Nick Arbuckle.
Absolutely.
Second camp, and he talked about how much more comfortable he's felt in the second year in the same system. And he's shown it.
Goals to let me know that you ain't paying attention when they was in, because they ran the same shit to them. #1, and #2, you're on the goal line. If you back up, it's a touchdown no matter what. You might as well shoot your goddamn gun. And then all you're doing is sitting there 10 and waiting for him to break and drive.
The head coach doing some coaching.
Well, and I think that the message from the head coach there, Devon Claybrooks, to Tucker was simple. Down there in the goal line in the Canadian Football League, as wide as the field is with the deep end zones, I mean, if you back up and give any space to a receiver, it's over. I mean, you might as well go and play aggressively, try and take away his space immediately, or else it'll be pitch and catch.
No. That, there's a run. The one, yeah, I know. The one you scored on, you guys gonna stick to the field? It's boundary, okay. It felt like a long throw, but
That's a 2-touchdown lead for the Stamps. Less than a half minute to go. And Rentley, Lennon trips him up. Short gain.
Well, this is something that I think Devon Claybrooks is going to have to look at, and you heard Farhan talk about it. moving Hunter Stewart into the middle and possibly looking at him at center. That's about the 4th or 5th low snap I've seen, and it's a short training camp. It's quickly to the regular season. You get 3 or 4 of those that scoot by Mike Riley in the regular season, and you're 0-1 quickly.
Again, up to the 45-yard line, close to a first down, and time for one more play.
And like Farhan mentioned, they want to protect their big money quarterback in free agency and Mike Riley. And
based on
I
what
think they'll be
Farhan was
better up
saying,
there.
Sounds like Henry Burris money that Mike Riley's getting.
Oh, wait a minute. What?
One last snap in high-scoring opening half, 46 points on the board. And Apodaca takes a knee. Nick Arbuckle, 87 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Bo Levi Mitchell, 84 yards passing and a touchdown. We'll find out what the boys back in the studio have to say. Calgary up by 14.
Thank you, CC. We're going to find out right now. Rod along with Hank and Chezzy and Milt and Mike Riley. We see him in a Lions uniform. Pretty good numbers as well. Only 3 incompletions. Yeah. What do you think of how Riley played?
He looked good. And I think this is what the BC Lions, Devon Claybrook, this is what he wanted to see. They wanted
He
to
better look good. You see that contract?
Yeah, I know. Okay. $750,000. Would you have came back for $750,000?
When do I sign up?
Yeah. But this is what they wanted to see. Of course, they wanted to make sure that he didn't get hurt. He took a couple of hits, but nothing major. You know, we found some chemistry with Burnham. One reception by Carter. So this is what they wanted Mike Riley to do. Make some plays, get out of the game. So far, so good.
I'm a believer that great wide receivers and great quarterbacks don't necessarily get wins or get you wins, but the cohesion of a good wide receiver and a good quarterback.
Hold on.
What is your DB saying that?
That's a fact.
Your DB saying that. Of course you would.
Point is, fellas, these guys, what they need to do is build that cohesion. It might take some time. They have talent. You look at the big 3, Durant and Burnham and Carter. With Mike Riley, you expect numbers, but I think it's going to take time.
Yeah, it does take time. I mean, you can see the difference in the explosion from the Calgary Stampeders, just kind of mixing up things with Donna Jackson and, of course, the passing game with Bo Levi Mitchell. It seemed like they were looking explosive, but then you look on the other side with Mike Riley and his gang. It just seemed like, yeah, good things were happening, but it seemed like they're still trying to feel their way through things. They haven't quite got on the same page. That chemistry isn't there quite of yet.
And, well, it looks like business as usual for Bo, doesn't it? There's limited time there. The defense, we talked about this last week. All the changes up front, linebacker, secondary, their defensive coordinator now coaching the other team. I mean, it still looks like they are going to have a good defense. I know this is preseason, but going up against like first unit early in that game, it did look good.
Now they'll play good defense, and they're well coached. I think they always have been, and they're going to play good defense. They fly around. You look at BC's defense with Rich Stubler, Devon Claybrook. They're together for the first time. New this year, but they play the same style defense. These guys, it's that match defense, and every defense with new personnel takes time to gel. But this match defense, as we could all attest to, I played in match defense. It takes longer than any other defense in the CFL to learn and to blend together to have that cohesion.
And the great thing about match defenses, or the most important thing, is your halfbacks. And TJ Lee and Grimes are 2 of the better halfbacks in the CFL. So when you have those 2 guys, those 2 veterans who can play, that makes it easier for everyone else.
Two cerebral halfbacks. That's a match defense. You know you played against it. That's a defense where you really got to be in cohesion with your partner, know what he's going to do. That's going to help having those vets.
And one of the marquee things about all the defenses in the West, they all can get to the quarterback this year. Now, we all know BC has Odell Willis, but they got to find a way to get to the quarterback because, you can keep those defensive backs back there playing match coverage, but it's not a good matchup if you can't pressure the quarterback.
This is for a preseason game in the final one. This is an interesting matchup right now with Calgary up by 14 points. When we come back, the Lions, the Stamps, the Eskimos, the Riders, don't forget the Bombers too. What a West we could have. How competitive. We'll talk about that at the half. CFL on TSN Friday Night Football.
Ordered a free expedited processing.
This thing is mine. You can't have it. It's one of my most valuable possessions. It really is.
Trust Teeter Hang-Ups for a better back, better body.
The preseason ends tonight. After that, they start playing for keeps. We're excited about it. We got it all. CFL season kickoff Thursday. Next Thursday with the Riders and the Ticats 7 Eastern, Al's Eskimos, Red Black Stamps, and the Blue Bombers and the Lions. Let's talk about that West Division now with BC trailing Calgary at the half. This is interesting. I mean, yeah, Calgary's lost a lot of players. They still look good. I mean, who's the team to beat, Ches, in the West?
Wow, this early, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump in.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Whoa!
They will win.
Wow.
There's no question. They will be the best team in the CFL over the first 5 weeks.
I thought this
over the first 5 weeks.
Over the first 5 weeks. What's going to happen after that?
I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and find out.
You're the DB. You love that heat. Come on now.
I do feel like they have, because of the continuity they have, the piece they bring back, their running game, their offense, they have the quarterback in the same system. They're going to be good from the start. Their defense, I think, got better. That's why I think to start off the season right now.
So you're linking them in June and into July, but you're not saying anything about August yet.
I love them.
When it starts getting cold in
Anytime you wear a tank top, the Bombers are going to be on top of the West.
I'm talking October, November. What do you think?
I thought our preview show was next week, right?
All right. You know what?
We're getting predictions now.
Let me alter the question, Milton. How close of a it looks like it's going to be a very competitive division.
It's going to be very competitive. Very competitive. You look at Calgary, they lost a lot of players, but they still have Bo Levi Mitchell, and they have that system. Saskatchewan definitely got stronger on defense. If Zach can be average or just a little bit above average, they have an opportunity to win the game. You think what Winnipeg did. They added some players. You got Inspector Gadget, Willie Jefferson coming off the outside. But the question is, what is their quarterback? Matt Nichols is going to do. And, of course, Edmonton, they're the Ottawa Red Blacks of the West now, so they've gotten stronger. So, I mean, it's up in the air. Next week, I will give my prediction. I'm not like Chaz. We're not going to throw it out there now.
You're hanging on
only for the first 5 weeks, but we'll have to wait and see.
Milt, nobody develops players like the Calgary Stampeders. That team, it seems like when they insert a name here, it's a guy who's been a part of this organization for a number of years.
True.
There's a team north of Highway 2 that's built up a juggernaut of a team just so they can try to win a championship on their turf this year. It's going to be tough to see, but Stamps, they're still the king of the league.
I'm a believer in this. Until proven otherwise, and there's 4 other teams that can prove it this season. Calgary, all the adjustments, they still look good. Just preseason, still look good. They got 30 on the board, 2-touchdown lead with the second half coming up here on TSN.
Tim's new high
The RBC Canadian Open will continue tomorrow from Hamilton with third-round action. 4 Canadians in the top 10 after 2 rounds. Coverage beginning at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific across the TSN 1 and 3 and CTV 2. Halftime stats, Milt.
Well, this is a preseason game, but both of these teams are playing like it's the regular season. 2 of the better quarterbacks in the CFL, evident by the passing yards by both teams. Also some great rushing yards. Now the second half begins. This is where you see those players who are going to be at the tail end of the roster. We'll see if they can make the team. Let's go.
Bo played a quarter, 4 for 6, 84 yards and a touchdown. Here he is now with Farhan Lalji.
Bo, just a few series to knock the rust off. Are you happy with how you're feeling after tonight?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, O-line kept me up. I thought offensively we looked good, pushed the ball down the field. Thought defense stopped them early. They got a couple bounces and calls their way, but I think that's something that we've got to get used to during the season. You know, I think the rules have changed. We've got to get used to that. But ultimately, man, just, you know, I feel good. The guys feel good. And the team's put up a good performance.
You've talked about how impressed you've been with the young receivers. Aaron Peck with a few catches there. Michael Klukas with a couple deep balls down the middle. Just do you like what you see in terms of what you have coming in the future here at that position?
Oh, of course, man. It's a major position we have right now, and definitely a position of strength. We've got some tough decisions to make, but, man, I just want to see go out second half, do the exact same thing, and keep proving people wrong.
Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate it.
His night is done, getting set for the regular season next week. BC keeping close early on, but Calgary's opened it up. It's a 2-touchdown lead with the second half coming up. Final preseason tilt, Friday Night Football on TSN.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Golf Town. This year, get Dad the hottest gifts at Golf Town. We are your Father's Day destination.
I work full-time. I have 3.
Welcome back to BC's Place Stadium as we get set for the second half of this final preseason game. 30-16 Calgary leads. Farhan Lalji's with Mike Riley.
You got the ball cap on, so we know you're not going back in the game, but a couple of touchdown drives. Just how do you feel about your performance and that ability to knock the rust off with these guys?
I just felt good to get out there and play some football full speed against a different team. A little slow start going 2 and out. We'll obviously try to clean that up, but happy that we got into the red zone twice and finished both drives. That's what you got to do to have wins. Now we're just excited to watch these young guys who made some mistakes, but they're fighting hard, so we'll see what they got in the second half.
I know that they're getting Hunter Stewart involved at center now. You didn't see much of that when you were in a quarterback, but what do you like about a guy that big, even though he hasn't played center before, maybe doing it?
Oh, it's been awesome. He's very versatile, of course, and I've been working with him a lot during camp. He's been rotating in with the one group at center and obviously playing at guard, so it's just good to have that kind of depth on the interior line. You know, things happen, guys can shift around and play, but he's really confident in knowing where the points are, getting the guys in the right protection. he just hasn't been snapping the ball very often, right? So we got to just continue to work on that with him. But yeah, it's been great to have him be able to do both roles.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
So again, Mike Riley, 8 of 11, 110 yards in that opening quarter of work. Final tune-up for him for the 2019 campaign.
Now for some of these young guys, they have a half of football to make an impression. A big play, hustle on a special teams play like this opening kickoff for BC. Nice block on the return game for the Calgary Stampeders.
And Anthony Alex kicks it off. It'll be Ladarius Galloway from his 7-yard line. And Galloway on the return is hit hard at the 26-yard line and dropped in. New quarterback in, Montel Cozart will handle the third quarter after Nick Arbuckle made yet another statement. Cozart was pretty good last week against Saskatchewan after a little bit of a slow start, but got going.
Yeah, exactly. It was a slow start, and you know, there was a huge difference between Arbuckle's play early and then Montel Cozart early in his chance, but he did bounce back from it. You saw the numbers, those 5 completions after a tough start.
And a 5-play, 94-yard touchdown drive in that game. A flag comes down as Galloway dropped short gain.
Now, sometimes you got to also preface the third-string quarterback or the young guys getting a chance to play, because now the rotation begins for every position, including O-line. So Dave Dickinson and Pat Delmonico will be switching in some of their
Calgary
younger
number
linemen.
66, 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
And David Brown gets a holding penalty. First down.
Ball march back to the 17. Murray Clark making the call there. He has the second half after handling field judge duties in the opening half of play. Cozart's throw is incomplete. Looking for Daniel Braverman, who was his favorite target last week. And Delondo Tucker there in coverage.
Accuracy off on that throw, and Tucker had a chance. Remember, he was the guy who got beat in the first half, and he had a chance maybe to get over there and make that interception.
He was the one listening when Devon Claybrooks had that little seminar on the sideline.
That's right. He got coached up there down on the goal line when Mayala scored on that out route, and then went back there, had a crack at an interception.
So 2nd and 20 for the Stamps. 4-man rush. Dumped off to Galloway. And cuts it back inside. Scrambles to the 33-yard line. He'll be short of the first down, and the punt team will come on for the Stampeders.
Boy, awful difficult. I don't have the numbers right in front of me when you take a holding penalty on first down of a drive. How many drives are successful after that? Not very many.
Why Savage? Man, they up 3-1.
Rob Neighbor to punt it away. Marquise Bundy is back. And Bundy feels it at the 36-yard line. And he gets driven back. Good cover work by the Stampeders. And let's check the numbers for Apodaca in the second quarter of work.
Keep in mind that he's playing this game knowing that Daniel Bryan has been brought in by the BC Lions, so he's trying to make an impression. Did make some mistakes. Mike Riley say that some of the guys made some mistakes in the first half, but he bounced back nicely from the pick. That shows you a little bit of mental toughness.
Good one. Inside.
Fit that into a nice window. Small window there, but Apodaca threaded the needle, got it in there.
Jamal Jones to catch. 10 different receivers for the Lions in the opening half, so they're taking a look at a lot of personnel here. We haven't mentioned it, but a little strange to see black and orange and no Manny
I like
show.
it though. Oh, yes, that's true. Well, and no Solomon Elmimian anymore, the BC Lions.
Not to mention no Godfather on the sidelines.
Yes.
It's a different era here at BC. But you're liking the look.
I do. You know, I like the look. I mentioned that. You know, I think Deron Carter is poised with Mike Riley at his side to have a big season. They brought in their franchise quarterback. I mean, it's so much more than a rebuild in BC. It's a rebirth, really. It's basically starting again. We showed you the ins and outs for the BC Lions early in the first half, but you know, Devon Claybrooks also has a nice balance. You saw Rich Stubler as a defensive coordinator for Claybrooks. But he's also got some young coaches that he's hired to give an opportunity to. I mean, Nick Lewis is on the staff. Just recently retired from his playing days, and he's got some young guys that are going to work with his young players. Ryan Phillips, 49 career interceptions, helping out and working with the defensive backfield. Some young coaches that he's brought in with a nice mix.
He didn't get to 50. You had how many?
Well, I never counted 51. I was having fun with Ryan. I think he's going to be an outstanding football coach. I mean, Ryan Phillips was one of those coaches on the field anyway throughout his entire career. I had a real good question. Excuse me, it was a good answer from Ryan Phillips on my question about Deron Carter and how he's been in training camp and practice. And, you know, are we seeing the very vocal Deron Carter after, you know, small accomplishments like a quick out or a curl or something like that? He said, no, he's working with it. The expectation is different.
Apodaca in trouble, scrambling, and weaves his way close to a first down.
Apodaca scrambles out near the 6.
It's a pretty good run for Apodaca. Close enough that if not a first down, they'll leave him on the field in short yardage. I was going to say we like to mic games. We should just mic that coach's room. That would be outstanding. Claybrooks, Lewis, Phillips. That's a group. And 3rd inches. That should do it.
Ed Hervey, the general manager of this football team, is putting his stamp on it, certainly. And it started with a guy that he knows real well at the starting quarterback spot. Free agency, you knew the BC Lions were going to be front runners because of the relationship between the GM here in BC and Ed Hervey and Mike Riley.
Yeah, Joey, let's go, man.
Never satisfied, always looking. He looks a little bit concerned with something.
He wants somebody to jump up and take charge here in this second half and make his job a little easier. There's Jamel Lyles, running back out of Manitoba that everybody's been talking about in the BC camp. He's made an impression too.
Yeah, guy from Manitoba, and this was a guy that was All-Can West as both a special teams player and offensive player.
The University of Manitoba's churned out some good ones. And he has one more year of U Sports eligibility, but valuable reps here. And he shows you again why.
Well, for
He's been
Claybrooks,
getting some attention.
Yeah, and for Claybrooks, it gives him some roster flexibility. I mean, that's so important, especially for a new head coach to try and balance the Canadian ratio. You've got the global player ratio as well, and a player that, or global player that will be added to the roster. But Lyles and Brett Boyko at right tackle gives him more flexibility there with a Canadian on the O-line at tackle.
Looks like they'll use 4 Canadians on the offensive line. Lots of flexibility in the ratio. There's a drop. And that is Augustine, unable to hang on. Or excuse me, that's Josh Stanford, 87.
Runs a nice route and finds the hole and just doesn't secure it. Took a peek over the right shoulder just as the ball arrived. Popped out of there.
Split last year between Saskatchewan and Montreal in his 4th year. He'll set up the screen here. And Lyles breaks one tackle, but gets hauled down by Michael Kashak. So it'll be 3rd down and the kick team comes on.
Here's one of the global players, Gerardo Alvarez out of Mexico. Getting a chance to cover the kicks, and Claybrook said their global players aren't out of place by any stretch.
Anthony Alex a little late coming onto the field, but he drills the 39-yarder. And it's an 11-point Calgary lead here midway through the 3rd quarter of the final 2019 preseason game.
Motor Trend.
The beauty of preseason football, when
let's get
there's
this straight.
more than one number 71 on the field.
So there's a couple of 71s. On the left of your screen is Matt Bozen, who's been playing very well as a defensive lineman. In fact, has the edge to play that rush end spot opposite Odell Willis. And on the right is the global player Fernando Ricciardi out of Monterrey, Mexico, about 9 miles south of the Texas border. But 271s, I think there's 217s as well.
Yep.
Shakir Ryan is one of them. So,
and Delondo Tucker.
Yeah, we'll get them all sorted out.
Offside. BC number 96. 5-yard penalty. Remains 1st down.
Vantrell McMillan ahead of the snap, former Alouette, vying for the defensive end position, but you make a mistake, you take a penalty, and now you're on the sidelines, and that's not the spot where you can impress the coach. Ozark cutting that, and a completion there has a connection to Shea Fields. His first catch of the game out of Colorado.
You see his route. It's a deep route in that trips formation to the field. That's the wide field. The impressive part of that catch was he took the big hit and still hung on.
Seventh different Calgary receiver in the game. Ozark hands it off. Here's Galloway shaking some arm tackles.
Great effort.
Nice run.
Ladarius Galloway Tennessee Martin. Those are the type of second effort, third effort type runs. It's like BC might even jump the gun there.
Second and short, and that surge ahead should be close to the first down.
You know, and there'll be teams early in the season that start off slow that use the changes as an excuse. You will not hear that no matter how the Calgary Stampeders start from Dave Dickinson or this coaching staff. We talked about the O-line up front and how they've had to go through some changes and are still looking to see what combination might be the starters up front. But Pat Delmonico, one of the best coaches in the O-line in the business, he'll get them coached up.
Didn't get the spot, so it's third down. He'll take it outside. Got tripped up, but surging ahead, and we'll have the first down.
And, you know, with Bo Levi Mitchell as your starting quarterback, you can, with that quick release and knowledge of the game, you can work through some struggles early with the offensive line. So you got that in your favor, and that buys you time up front. If there's some breakdowns early in the season, Dave Dickinson knows that Bo can work through it with his quick release and his knowledge, getting the ball out of there to the right target before the D-line can get there, even if there is a mistake up front.
First and 10, back in the hands of Galloway.
But Pat Delmonico is one of the best coaches in the league, and even if it's a young group, I want to show you a play from the first half. A nice run here, just a simple run with a couple of pulling offensive linemen, one being the center and Sevior. He's going to come outside. Now Ryan Sevior's got the kick out. Take a look at this seal block. That's a down block from the left guard. Now he comes out and you got the kick out block on the outside. Well coached, well spaced. The timing is there. Your running back now says, I got a lane, and I'm hitting that lane. That's all about coaching with young players up front.
Second and 6, a quick hitter, and the pass behind the intended target Fields, incomplete.
Pat Delmonico he's going to love the challenge. He has to make some changes from last year's Grey Cup championship team. He'll do that. You saw how well coached they were on that play with some backups in the first half. So all he's looking at is their assignments and breaking them down as he's watching them up front, protecting their franchise players.
I was going to say, getting a little help there from Kelly Bates, the former Lion offensive lineman, who is a guest coach with Calgary. And speaking of the Mexican players, here's Silva missing, and it's going to be brought out by Bundy. So a miss from Oscar Hugo Silva, and the score remains 30-19. Witness history as Canada kicks off their quest for gold against Cameroon on Monday at the FIFA Women's World Cup in France. Catch the action 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific on TSN and CTV. Back in Vancouver, normally we'd be talking about a mistake bringing that missed field goal out, but you say in the preseason, different story.
Yeah, different story because you want your playmakers to try and make some plays, so you give them the green light on those. But even if he doesn't, like Marquise Bundy didn't get out past the 10-yard line on that return, would be a mistake in the regular season. But Devon Claybrooks now sees a young quarterback, young offensive receivers, young offense go out there in a bind, in a hole in their own end, and they have to convert on 2nd and long. This is a challenge, and we'll see if Austin Apodaca can get out of it.
Slightly behind the intended target on that last pass for Jamal Jones, sets up 2nd and 10. The one interception, if you're joining us late, a pick 6. Here comes Sopek, safety blitz. He gets home, ball comes loose, and they pile up in the end zone. Who's got the football? It's a safety as Fraser Sopek got to the quarterback, the number 31 pick in the draft out of Western. So Sopek on the safety blitz brings down Apodaca, and 2 more for the Stamps. 32-19.
Tested badge.
Well, based on what I've seen in 2 games from newcomer Fraser Sopek, he's made the football team in Calgary, in my opinion. I mean, this guy's made some plays last week on the special teams. He stood out, one of those players that we kept talking about because he was making plays. Now he comes in, creates the fumble on the safety blitz, and a safety and 2 points.
Lions kick it off, Chief. Behind Fields. On the return, it's a good one for Lorenzo Jerome back there. And he's across midfield, setting up Calgary on the BC side of half. Thanks. Look at the draft for the Calgary Stampeders. Mayala with a touchdown, and Fraser Sopek, big defensive play.
His top 5 guys dressed and available to play and make the team right now. And a lot of people have the question as to how this Calgary football team year in and year out leads the division, because they replace the players they lose with good football players in the draft. That's Sopik coming down and getting aggressive on the teams. Then he comes on the safety blitz once again, standing out again tonight. If I'm coaching, this kid's made the team. John Huffnagel fills those holes. He finds a way. It is truly remarkable. We don't know their names when they arrive. By Labor Day, they're household names. He gets
year
it done.
after year.
After every year, absolutely. Reminds me of a guy named Belichick that he used to work for down in the National Football League.
Here's Gozart rolling up. He'll throw deep. They have a man here and knocked down. Big recovery on the play made by Hakeem Johnson.
That was an outside throw. And Hakeem Johnson now just has to get on his horse. He gets twisted around with the double move, or the little shake at about the 10-yard mark, and then he recovers. And the most important part of it, when the ball arrives, he's playing the hands of the receiver, not putting it up and screening the receiver drawing a flag. He's upset because he got his legs twisted there.
And Dwayne Ford's pumped up because that's back-to-back defensive plays made by former Western Mustangs.
Oh boy. That didn't take long.
It's only going to be mentioned, Dwayne, in the preseason.
Western, and what's your other one? We find a player from. No, I know you were Queens, but it's your hometown. I think is your.
Oh, the Brampton.
Oh yeah.
I haven't mentioned Rob Maver yet tonight for being of good roots.
Did I mention that Jordan Herdman's going to probably replace Solomon Elamimian in the middle of the BC defense at.
There's Rob Maver.
Out of SFU.
Third and a yard. They're not going to go for it. Going to give Maver a chance to hit the corner, something he does so well. That's going to be inside the 10, and did that skip? It does, into the end zone. So he just missed. Somebody's going to go pick it up, or Maver might get down there.
I think Marquise Bundy, I heard on a mic, on a parabolic mic down there, Marquise Bundy go, it just missed that sideline, but I heard him say, what do I do? The ball was rolling around the end zone, and then Maver said, hey, I can go recover this if they don't do it.
If he charged out right away, I mean, and Devon Claybrook's just time for another little
let me explain what you do. You can't leave that ball, because it is live in the end zone to the punter or anyone behind the punter. But I'm sure I heard on a parabolic mic Marquise Bundy say, what do I do? What do I do?
Then he's got to get back in the huddle and go to work on offense. 57-yard.
Hey, for the young guys, man, sometimes it feels like you're standing on the freeway and the cars are flying by you.
That is dropped. You're going to call that a fumble and a catch?
Boy, it didn't look like he had it long, but it almost looks like that's the way they're ruling.
Dwayne Norman pouncing on it. He had some time with the Stamps last year, and they're ruling Calgary football again. A turnover will be reviewed. Did he have this long enough to be considered a catch and a fumble?
Regular speed.
All right. All right.
Jones. Would be the third turnover. Again, they're waiting for it to be reviewed here.
Claybrooks challenged to play early in the first half, or in the first half, later in the first half, but won the challenge, so he has another one. Turnovers are automatically reviewed, as we mentioned earlier in the game. So I think what was deceiving in the play was the receiver turned his head as if he was going to run, but he never really had control. It kind of was sliding through his right arm.
And they will rule incomplete. Yeah, he ran before he caught it.
Yep, yep.
And in this
After
case,
automatic review, the ruling on the field is overturned. It's an incomplete pass. Second down.
they'll be 2nd and 10. There's J.C. Jarrett, the new linebacker coach. After a tremendous career with the Edmonton Eskimos, he's gone to Southern Alberta to start his coaching career.
When I saw him in the great shape he's in before the game, I said, yeah, go suit up, man. Like
penalty down, flag down. It looks like BC was offside. And that pass incomplete. They try to get it to Augustine.
Said to him, go suit up. You look like you're in great shape, ready to go. And he looked at me and goes, the mind would say yes, the knees say no. Great career, and what a leader. He's going to be another, like Ryan Phillips. I mean, was always a coach on
Offside.
the field as a player.
Calgary number 95. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
But he's more than that, a weight room guy, a film room guy, and he'll teach the young ones how to be a pro.
Stamps offside, so it's Ricky Neal. Flag 5 yards. And while we talk about J.C. Jarrett, we should mention Corey Greenwood has won the job at middle linebacker to replace Alex Singleton to start the year. And that pass ricocheted off Alvarez. There's
Gerardo
one of the global players, Gerardo Alvarez, the speedster, unable to bring that one in. So we're through 3 quarters here at BC Place Stadium. 1 quarter remaining in the preseason. And Calgary trying to win its 2nd straight. Check the numbers through 3 quarters of this preseason game, which sees Calgary ahead by 2 touchdowns.
We talked a lot today or tonight about the coaches and the coaching staffs that have been put together, assembled for Calgary. It's a lot of the same, but Devon Claybrook's the new head coach in BC, and I look at the numbers and sort of the lack of offside penalties. There's been a couple, but not. We see a lot more usually in the preseason. So 2 well-coached teams tonight.
15 minutes of preseason left, and this not the most important score of the night. And I hear you've become a big Raptors fan.
Well, I congratulations to the Toronto Raptors. Absolutely, it's been fun to watch and be on this ride as the entire country is. They won again tonight, so they can win it all in the next one.
See if the NBA and the NHL seasons come to an end in the next couple of days. So we can start the Canadian Football League season on Thursday night. Saskatchewan and Hamilton.
When you take a look at this Calgary Stampeder, I think a lot of people, when they saw the changes on D, started to say, are they going to be the heavy favorite as they are every year going in the West Division? A lot of people were saying no, but after 2 preseason games, Arbuckle playing the way as the Insurance playing as well as he has in the last 2 games, Bo Levi Mitchell looking outstanding, the speed in the receiving core, and hey, their defenses in the last 2 weeks have not looked bad, their defensive efforts.
Well, again, it is only preseason,
yeah, absolutely.
But in 7 quarters, they've outscored their opponents 70-20. So,
and I always say, Chris, that the actual score and the number doesn't really matter, because you make decisions as a coach that you wouldn't like running a missed field goal out of the end zone and only getting caught on your own 5-yard line and put your quarterback in a tough situation, see how he handles that. There's a lot of those tests going on in the preseason games that would change the score, can change the score quickly and drastically. But when you look at the success under Dave Dickinson and the win-loss record, I mean, Grey Cup appearances and the 2 championships, and I mean, they find a way to fill those holes, but you coach the young guys up, you set the standard, and if they don't make the bar, you got to find another team.
but this guy just keeps bringing good people up here to replace the departed.
So, because
Rosard gets it away.
Because they are defending champions, and you have to respect them for that, because of what they've done and what you just saw on the board and their win-loss record in the last 5 years, they are the favorites. Until someone knocks them off the top of that hill, or what does Matt always say, off the porch? They're the big dog still on the porch. Now, Winnipeg, they've got to be in the conversation to push. I mean, Saskatchewan's made some interesting changes. They have Micah Johnson now, who can dominate a game in the interior D-line. This guy's a difference maker, as we know and have seen throughout the year, so it's going to be fun.
Ayala with the catch, but short of a first down, so Maver to boot it away. That one will skip out of bounds, no return. Brian Lodge will have more on the BC Lions starting quarterback Mike Riley when we come back.
To go.
Mike Riley, 8 of 11, 110 yards in the first quarter. Tonight, with more on, the Lions starting quarterback here again is Farhan.
Chris, we know that Mike Riley's hours put in the film room and in the game plan implementation and operation back in Edmonton were legendary, and that really hasn't changed here in BC. And I asked him about Jarius Jackson and the offense and how many similarities there are to what he did in Edmonton and just the changes that have been made because of Riley's arrival. He said 60% of the offense is basically the same. the same plays we had in Edmonton are the same plays we have here. Then 20% of it are plays that Jackson had in his playbook previously but didn't use them because he didn't have a quarterback like Riley. And then the other 20% probably plays that Riley has suggested that they implement, and they've wound up doing that, and it's really worked out well. He talked about just the familiarity he had with Jackson during their time in Edmonton when he was the quarterback coach, and even as both teammates in BC, they said that's really helped. And you can expect more deep passing, pushing the ball down the field, and the terminology, all of it has been very similar, and the fit so far between coordinator and quarterback has been seamless.
Just push the ball downfield there, and a tremendous catch by Joey Augustine.
Well, the one thing that Jarius Jackson understands with Mike Riley is his leadership style, and it's as good as it gets, really, in any sport. He's one of those guys that, you know, leads by example, as Farhan mentioned, but it's above and beyond that as well. Trying to the mental toughness, the physical toughness. He'll take a pounding. He knows that sometimes he's got to take a hit. The teammates love that.
Might be one thing he can't do.
Well, you know, but it was still a great leadership play, and I think I know where you're going here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn this over to you because you are our expert in this department. First off, 2nd and 5. Apodaca is going to air it out again, going deep. And a flag pass interference intended for Bundy. And the flag comes down. And it will be Marco Myers, who had the pick 6 in the first half.
Forward pass interference. Calgary number 39. Ball spotted at the point of the foul. Automatic. First down.
Well, it was team bonding anyway.
Well, he jumped up and grabbed the mic. Now, I'm going to say that was a little bit pitchy.
He's no Dustin Nielsen. I know Dustin did a nice job in his rookie song last week.
Nailed friends in low places, of course. You set the bar in Halifax that year.
That was a little pitchy. Here's Wayne Moore. Touchdown. Nice run by the McMaster product to get it to the end zone. So they take advantage of the pass interference call. Moore punches it in.
But there's a well-decorated quarterback in Mike Riley that is the first in training camp in the rookie show or whatever it may be to get up and sing a song and say, hey, we check our egos at the door and we come together as a team. That's Big Lewis, yeah.
We're there! Hey, that's it. Way to run. What up, Weez?
And the extra point is missed. We've seen 3 converts missed in the game. And the return by Griff Whelan doesn't get out of the end zone. So it remains an 8-point lead for the Stamps as Wayne Moore hits pay dirt. Just under 10.5 minutes remaining. Anthony Thompson on the sidelines with more on his status. Here's Farhan.
Well, Anthony Thompson is back with the BC Lions. He signed a contract this morning, and he was one of the last remaining holdouts. His agent, Jonathan Hardaway, had a number of his clients essentially wait until the new CBA got signed, and there was some concern about the fact that once Brett Boyko signed, they wouldn't have enough money to get Anthony Thompson done. They've had a battle at free safety right now so far, but it looks like Anthony Thompson is going to get the job back once practice begins next week.
There's Huff on the return, and he gets contained around the 30-yard line. And it's Cozart's game to finish off. Like last week, and I think the assessment likely the same again today. They like the way the backups behind Bo Levi Mitchell made plays. Cozart and Arbuckle particularly in this game. Cozart a different skill set than the other two. And Cozart 4 for 7, 48 yards. Receivers near side, they fake to Perry. And the pass is complete to Braverman, who had that big second half against Saskatchewan. 2 catches, 63 yards. And as the coach said, he kind of took over the game. Showed some speed. Second and third teamers are going to get a chance to decide this game. Now separated by a touchdown. Big Bird's here. Ka'Deem Carey into the open field. And Carey brings it all the way down inside the Lion 35-yard line.
One of the areas that the BC Lions are going to have to shore up and find a replacement is for the middle linebacker. Solomon Elimimian, no longer a BC Lion. He's in Saskatchewan, has a calf injury apparently right now, so may not make the start of the regular season, but Jordan Herdman-Reed is penciled in right now as the starter at middle linebacker. That was 48 Noah Robinson, the first pick overall for BC this year. Got caught in the wash a little bit, but household name in Solomon Elimimian, no longer a Lion.
41-yard romp by Carey, who has 60 yards on the ground of the game.
There was a few eyebrows raised at that point, but you know, Ed Hervey has made some bold moves like this, and I'd make the comparison to the Solomon Elimimian move to Fred Stamps when Ed Hervey took over in Edmonton, and Fred Stamps was such a well-liked veteran receiver for the Eskimos, and he basically made a tough decision saying, we're going to get younger in that spot and a little less expensive, and that's really what he did with Solomon Elimimian. It was not easy, but he's made a couple of those.
Salary cap decisions magnified with the big signing of the $3 million man, Mike Riley. Braverman another catch. And Calgary going through a little bit too with a similar contract to their #1 man, Bo Levi Mitchell.
No question. I asked Devon Claybrooks about Noah Robinson. How's he playing? He said, you know, he's a pretty good downhill player, but that lateral movement is something that we've got to work on with him, and he's got to continue to work on it because he's got to get sideline to sideline. He played in Missouri in college, so he didn't play in the Canadian rules, Canadian field. And he said he's got to get that lateral speed just a little bit better, and he'll progress.
Silva, 37-yard attempt, and the global player hits it. And it's a 2-score lead for the Stamps.
Thanks.
The untold story of Superman continues with brand new episodes of Epic Adventure Krypton. Season premiere Wednesday at 10 Eastern, only on Space. Back in Vancouver as we wrap up the preseason with a quarter of football remaining, and Grant Kramer, another quarterback hopeful for the BC Lions, comes in to finish off. And comes out slinging as a completion and a gain into Calgary territory with a completion to Jamal Jones.
Just a little seam route, just throw to the back shoulder to keep it away from coverage, and pretty good start for young Grant Kramer out of Drake University. Now, who was other CFL Hall of Famer out of Drake?
You're good because one of the all-time greats.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Bright, former Eskimo and Stampeder. And off to Moore. And Moore pounds it down about the 42-yard line.
Couple nice runs.
Nick Stats on the tackle, the number 55 pick in the draft out of Calgary.
You know, I would say about 30% of the rosters in both teams right now are just looking at the clock saying, okay, let's head out and get ready for the regular season, except for the other 70% are just trying to get that extra play in, make the most of their opportunity. Moore's doing that.
Dwayne Moore's happy to get a chance here, but he'll get stopped. And it's Stats that filled the hole in the young safety. Sixth rounder makes the tackle.
Well, I think you just go for it if you're Devon Claybrooks here and give your offense one more rep.
Third and 3. And he will do exactly that. They'll go deep for Jones. He's got it. And Jones near the goal line. They'll mark him at the 1. 42-yard connection on a 3rd and 3 from Grant Kramer to Jamal Jones.
You know, Grant Kramer on this throw puts enough air under it to let Jones just track the football. Marco Myers has got a couple of pluses. That's
Kramer with a flag down, jumps into the end zone, touchdown.
See what the flag
is. Grant Kramer's in no hurry to finish this game. 2 for 2, 67 yards on his first series in the CFL.
Offside, Calgary. That penalties decline. The result of the play is a touchdown.
Jamal Jones left Montana. He was the leading receiver in their history at that time. This is the touchdown. He's off the right side of the offensive line, but Grant Kramer put enough air under that last one for his receiver to track it, get the DB all turned around, and Marco Myers, who has that pick 6 and then a couple of minuses since.
Don't know if there was an agreement not to go for 2, but normally you would here to get within 3. With 4.5 minutes to go, Castillo will get the convert.
We've seen some missed converts, and maybe Devon Claybrooks said, you know, we should practice this.
Yeah, there have been misses tonight in that department. Let's welcome Grant Kramer.
Yeah, ask Claybrooks about Kramer, and the first words out of his mouth were, well, he's quite green, but got a strong arm, good football IQ. Threw for over 7,000 yards at Drake and 71 touchdowns, so knows how to put the ball in the air.
Just thinking about Marco Myers, 39, the defender there. And
he's on a roller coaster.
Yeah, that's a tough preseason game. You're celebrating a pick 6, and you're setting the world on fire the first half. You've taken a pass interference call inside the 5 and now beaten inside the 5, and it's back to the tablet.
And after the pick six, that's where, again, you learn how to be a pro and handle success and handle failure, handle issues and challenges, but also handle success. Because if you lose your focus after a big play, you go south in a hurry. It is Shea Fields, and he gets dragged down just beyond the 30-yard line. Cover teams have been better for BC in this game. That was a sore spot for Devon Claybrooks last week. It was the BC Lions 2019 draft. The guys that's very influential in the picks is G. Roy Simon and the organization at BC. Noah Robinson, that #1 pick, 26 overall, #1 for BC. Getting a chance to go on another Western guy. Serious?
4-point lead, Cozart, quarterback drop, and Cozart will run for a first down up past the 45. Isaiah Guzlak-Messam.
And you know, Saturday is a cut down day, and it's going to be tough. This is the toughest part of the year for coaches because they have to give the bad news to some very good football players. And there are players on every team in the league that had guys that played well enough through camp and in the preseason to make a spot on the roster, but it sometimes comes down to a numbers game. And good players are going to get cut loose on Saturday. They hope they put enough on film to stay in their respective teams, but if not, maybe be picked up by another team sometime down the road.
Calgary.
Stamps call timeout to avoid taking a time count. 10 o'clock Eastern tomorrow is the deadline for the training camp cut down. And that will lead to some roster movement around the league because some good players getting cut in one place might end up somewhere else. One of the surprise cuts already, Anthony Coombs.
Yes.
Was released by the Toronto Argonauts.
Such a talented player in Anthony Coombs, and again, a guy that, you know, you sure at some point, it's tough right out of camp though, because your rosters, when you cut them down, if you're Dave Dickinson or Devon Claybrooks, for instance, you're at the number. You have to go 3-4 games into the season and then go through some injuries.
There's Carey, and Kadeem Carey with another first down run, so he's up to about 71 yards now as he lunges across midfield.
Yeah, we've seen some DBs and special teams players step up. Nice play from a couple of safeties in this game. Fraser Sopek, one of them for the Calgary Stampeders. Running backs, bright spots.
Marked him just short of the first down. We'll give it back to him, and he does have a fresh set of downs for the Stamps as we hit the 3-minute warning. Stampeders with the football and the lead.
Here I come, the big
Third major of the year gets underway Thursday, 2019 U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. Tiger, Koepka, Johnson, and all of golf's biggest stars battle for a spot in the winner's circle. Our first round coverage begins at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, and it keeps on rolling all weekend long, only on TSN. So under 2.5 minutes remaining, it's a 4-point Calgary lead and a first down nudging into Lion territory. Cozart to throw. He's got Griff Whalen loose, and Whalen gets away. And Whalen takes it down to about the 15-yard line.
Another guy that I would predict makes the team for the Calgary Stampeders.
43 games of NFL experience.
You know, when you don't ask a coach a specific player's name and to talk about him throughout training camp, and he brings it up. Whalen, one of those guys. Devon Claybrooks did it with a couple players. Dave Dickinson did it with Griff Whalen, said, unsolicited. Like this guy.
38 yards for the former college roommate of Andrew Luck. Somebody moved prematurely, they'll.
Interesting start to the schedule.
Time count violation. Calgary number 12. Lost a down, second down. Timer, please reset the clock to 1:51.
Interesting start to the season for the Calgary Stampeders. They open in the Grey Cup rematch, as we mentioned, but then they have a bye in week 2. So right out of the gate, a chance to sort of play one game and then regroup.
Lost it down, 2nd and 10. That was batted down. Matt Boson. There's Matt Boson vying for that defensive end spot at a TCU. Called a pleasant surprise at camp, but everybody notices him with the Thor-like golden locks.
And one of 5 people wearing 71 tonight. He goes off the edge untouched and times that jump nicely.
I think he's been the best 71.
Yeah, but he's got to learn, though. Don't jump like that. Just run right through the quarterback with your hands up.
Speaking of 71, here's Silva. And that off the bar, dead ball. And it remains a 4-point lead with a minute 43 left for Grant Kramer and the Lions. And while the Lions offense comes out for their next possession, a reminder, it all kicks off Thursday at Tim Hortons Field. Tiger Cats entertain the Rough Riders. Friday night football, it's Montreal and Edmonton, and that huge doubleheader on Saturday, Grey Cup rematch, and then the Lions play host to the Blue Bombers. Yeah. You mentioned it earlier, a lot of people talking about Winnipeg heading into the season as perhaps the favorites.
Willie Jefferson is now Winnipeg Blue Bomber. That helps him on D in a big way, and they were a pretty good D last year. Take a look at the BC schedule, though. When you look at Devon Claybrooks out of the gate, he's got that real tough home opener against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, veteran team, and then plays Edmonton, Calgary.
Kramer unable to take that snap cleanly, loses the football momentarily and doesn't get the first down. It'll be 3rd and 1.
6 of the first 7 games for the BC Lions before their bye is against the West. Western matchup, so the Lions are going to just come right out of the gate and into the fire.
Got to start on time.
Yep. And that's why those little things like snaps from center in the shotgun formation have to be cleaned up. I think they were a little sloppy with the football tonight. That's another sort of football fundamental
offside.
That Claybrooks
Calgary
can.
0. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Lost the turnover battle, but there were a few that they got their own fumbles back. So I'm sure Claybrooks will look at the film and clean all that up.
First down for Kramer. Over the middle, and that pass incomplete, in and out of the hands of Will Watson.
Like the throw, though.
Local product out of UBC. One he should have had.
Laybrooks did tell me that he's got a good arm. He's got a real strong arm. Make every throw on the field. A little green out there, but he put that right on Watson. And
3 years, 32 starts at Drake. Second and 10. Slant pattern. Is it caught by Watson?
I don't think so. I think that one came out again, and again put the ball right in the place where it had to be. He'll be 0 for 2 on his last 2 throws, and it won't be his fault. Right there.
Yep.
In stride.
So a tough night for Watson to close, and we saw Javon Catoy look good early. The Langley Ram product in the first half. The 3rd and 10. Trying to stay on the field. Scrambles, open target, and the catch made.
There it is.
That is Richarte, Fernando Richarte, and you saw the bench erupt as the global product makes the catch.
Well, I mentioned it's in northeastern Mexico that he's from. He's the outside receiver here, and he's going to actually make a nice adjustment. And talking to some of the coaches about the global players, say, you know, some of them don't even speak English, but they speak football. And they're not out of place, a lot of them. I heard Michael O'Shea on Twitter say it. His global players in camp, that they're...
Hello, Mexico. It's a play that will draw some highlights, and an open target here. And it's Augustine down the sidelines in the final minute. And the Lions are in scoring position with a chance to win it.
We've told the story before about Mike Riley as a BC Lion in his rookie year, had one drive to make the football team. He did it, and the rest of his career so far, you can see the resume he's put together. But it was one drive as a backup quarterback to Travis Lulay that won him a job. This kid in Grant Kramer has made enough throws that I think he's opened some eyes.
He's 4 for 6 for 93 yards and 2 drops.
That were right on the money, and he has a chance to take the lead here.
10 years ago, Mike Riley was given 5 minutes in garbage time of a preseason game and led his team down the field.
Here is the flashback of Mike Riley arriving in the Canadian Football League, back up to Travis Lulay at Empire Field. Had this one drive
and a game ball and got to hang around to become one of the star players in the league.
Sometimes that's all it takes, and right now Grant Kramer is taking a page out of the book. Good for him.
Riley had about 5 minutes in that game. Kramer's had just a little bit more. 142 passing yards now. That's tops among the 6 quarterbacks we've seen in the game. Wayne Moore's got a touchdown, got the football, and down at the 3.
More yards than any of the quarterbacks, and in a lot less time for Grant Kramer.
Timeout, Calgary.
In the short time that he's played, I like how he sets his feet. I mean, he's not bouncing around. That's usually how you can tell a young quarterback is not comfortable, is that they're bouncing in the pocket because they're just worried about taking that hit or making a mistake. He has settled his feet and made some real nice throws.
7,963 passing yards, 71 touchdowns in his 3 years of college football. And a chance to be a bigger part of the storyline here to wrap up the preseason. 2nd and goal from the 3. Wayne Moore, one rushing, one receiving, and BC takes the lead.
Well, interesting story, and congratulations, Wayne Moore out of McMaster. Jumped off the page in the second half every time he touched the football. First guy never tackled him. 2 touchdowns, but I like this, Grant Kramer.
Yeah.
That wasn't a difficult throw to make, but it was the right read to make, and it has to be on time.
10-play, 85-yard drive. And here's the 4th convert missed today, Castillo. And Whalen's going to try and bring this one out. And he'll get hauled down just beyond the 10. If he'd returned it, it would have tied the game. But there's an issue that Devon Claybrooks and company are going to have to deal with.
Big time. Let's take a look at the touchdown again. Again, not a real difficult throw, but you got to read the defense, keep your eyes downfield, and then drop it to your back out of the backfield. And if the timing's off,
well, Farhan reported Danny O'Brien's on the sidelines, but Grant Kramer is in uniform, and he wants to hang around.
Out here having fun.
Good on you. Good on you.
23-year-old in his first ever CFL action. And he might get a chance to play a little bit more. Time on the clock for Calgary. Have some last minute heroics here, and Huff is on the return, and a good one up beyond the 40-yard line. So a little reminder that no lead is safe as we get set for a whole new year.
Nice way to get ready to prep the year. And how about this Grant Kramer, 23 years old out of Drake. Poise, composure, took over late in this football game. Had to overcome a deficit, down 2 possessions. Got it done with a drive that was capped off with 1 run, and then a second drive to take the lead. Capped off with that throw and catch. Nice job, Grant Kramer.
See what Kozer can do. Try to answer out of the backfield. Kadeem Carey with the catch. He'll get pushed out of bounds by Jerry Iway. 32 seconds to go, and all about 15 yards or a little bit under that for field goal range for Rennie Paredes. Not sure what Silva's range is or whether he'd get the chance.
Silva hit the post, or Calgary has a 1-point lead.
Cozart over the middle and delivered it low, incomplete to Colton Hunchak. Calgary area product, had a catch last week and talked about living the dream of playing for the team he grew up cheering for. Second and 10.
Looks like it might be Silva can get in range.
Cozart wanted to let it go. He takes it to the 50. It'll be 3rd down, 5. I think they're going to try a 57-yarder with Silva.
No, got to get another 10.
Looked like Cozart initially had some room to run, but was thinking deep. And then it closed down on him. 3rd and 5. Pumps once, in some trouble. Throws incomplete, and BC's going to win this preseason game.
You know, Well, we always say, you just saw a couple of facial expressions, both sidelines. We always say in the preseason, the actual score really is irrelevant. It's all about evaluating talent, evaluating your football team under game circumstances, but don't tell me for a second these guys don't want to win. There's your reactions, and you know who's on the winning side.
74 points, 847 yards. Kramer takes a knee, one more, and it'll be in the books, and it will be a comeback win led by a 23-year-old who won't likely play next week.
But may have made the team.
But that's what these games are all about.
Exactly.
He's opened some eyes, and he closes it out here. And BC wins the final preseason game, 38-36.
Now it gets tough for the coaches. Cut down day on Saturday, get the rosters ready, and we kick things off Thursday next week.
So a 10-play, 85-yard touchdown drive in the final minute brings BC back. And so they are 1-1 in the postseason. So is Calgary. Again, 38-36. The final, it starts for real on Thursday. We'll see you in Hamilton, Rough Riders and Tiger Cats. Till then, so long from Vancouver.